So I come to you with that personal request. We need help, and we need help in this next election, because Mitch's opponent, and he won't tell you these things, but I'm going to tell you what needs to be told, is when his opponent threw his name out there, within a matter of days, there were tens of thousands of dollars that immediately showed up. And interestingly enough, for the people's attorney of Larimer County, these dollars did not come from Larimer County. There's a strong interest in his opponent from New York City and from the West Coast and from all other places, to the point of that the majority of those dollars that dumped in weren't from people that live in Larimer County. That's not to say we all don't have friends that sometimes give and they live, but why is that interest there? And I can tell you, his opponent is set up to be another activist district attorney who will jump in with a public defender, the private defense bar, and the ACLU, and leave you and I hanging. They'll leave law enforcement hanging out there, and in the end, we'll have a less safe government. We'll have a less safe society. So I am here tonight on a personal level, absolutely support Mitch. I've had the opportunity to work with Mitch throughout my career. I've seen his capability. I've seen his commitment. I've been out on the cases that we have, where we're out at 3 in the morning, and we look over, and we have Mitch standing by our side helping us through on a case. We need somebody that stands that strong. So I'm here to ask you to reach as far as you can to help Mitch out, not just financially and not just in general support, but reaching out to your friends as well, because this thing is...
You know, the district attorney is the chief law enforcement officer of the judicial district. And the good citizens of Larimer County over the last 50 years have entrusted that office to 4 individuals: Dave Wood, Stu Van Meveren, Larry Abrahamson, and yours truly. And each one of us, when we took the office, we brought with us a huge amount of experience, trial experience, criminal trial, prosecution experience. And Mitch Murray, when he takes office, will do the same thing. Mitch will bring years and years of experience into the office of the district attorney. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, every district attorney for the last 50 years has endorsed Mitch Murray. You know, Mitch has been serving you, the people of Larimer and Jackson counties, for almost 30 years already. Okay? Mitch was trying thousands and handling thousands of cases when his opponent was still in college and trying to go through law school. Mitch's opponent has never been the lead attorney on a complex felony trial. Not one. He's a former deputy district attorney who was never promoted to a supervisory position in the office. He's a young deputy district attorney that never supervised one person. Yet he believes he should be the person to oversee an office that has 90 full-time employees. God forbid you ever go to a doctor and the doctor runs some tests. And the doctor comes out after the test and he says, "I need to talk to you. I've got some bad news, but I also have some good news for you." And you say, "Give me the bad news, doc." The doc says, "You have a brain tumor." The good news, it's operable. It's very delicate surgery. It's surgery that I have performed countless times. We can get the tumor in its entirety, and you have to make a decision of who's going to perform that surgery. Now, are you going to go to a neurosurgeon who has done this procedure countless times, a neurosurgeon who other neurosurgeons recommend, a neurosurgeon who doctors, maybe your general practitioner says, that's who I would want to do this sort of delicate operation? Or would you trust your safety to a young surgical resident who's never, ever done one of these surgeries before. I submit to you, if it was me, I want the guy with the experience, because I think I deserve the best. And as the citizens of Larimer County, you deserve the best. And the best is standing right here. That's Mitch Murray. Let's support him financially, talking to our neighbors, helping with a sign, whatever you can do, because the citizens of Larimer County deserve the best. Mitch.
Thank you. People have asked me, why am I running for district attorney? And in truth, I feel a great responsibility to continue to work to protect this community. This community and the DA's office have given so much to me over this 30 years. The time spent, the money invested by this community in my training, in allowing me to grow up and become a prosecutor, to handle the kind of cases that I have. So I feel a responsibility to give that back to the community. And I work for a great office and care about the people that are doing that work. Being a DA is about the best job you can have as a lawyer, because you get to go into the office every day with the expectation that you are going to do the right thing for the right reason, that you're going to put your skill and efforts to work to protect the community, to be a voice for victims, to help them navigate their way through a criminal justice system that can be incredibly difficult. It is an honorable and satisfying work, and you do get to work with a fantastic team. There are a number of people here from that office. They are all dedicated to that same mission, that mission of doing the right thing for the right reason, helping protect our community, protecting and being a voice for victims. You find that from the person you walk in, when you walk into our lobby, the person working the front window, our receptionist. That same mission carries through her entire office there in our central services, through the records management people, through our legal assistants, the investigators that help prepare our cases, certainly our victim advocates who dedicate their time and energy to, again, helping those victims navigate through the confusing and oftentimes scary criminal justice system. It's a great team to be a part of. And I value getting to be a part of that team, and I look forward to the role of helping them do the best job they can in that role as district attorney. We live in a beautiful area. We are surrounded by fantastic scenery, in particular at this location, but just in the community in general. There are great opportunities for outdoor activities. We have wonderful municipalities with thriving downtowns, great places to go sit and eat and join your friends, like Ginger and Baker in town here. It's a wonderful place, but as Mr. Graham pointed out, there is crime happening here every day. There are, in the past couple of weeks, we've had drive-by shootings in Loveland. We had an attempted abduction of a young child here in Fort Collins. There are robberies, shootings, menacing cases. And happily, the vast majority of our citizens never get exposed to those. But the ones that do, they need a district attorney's office who can handle those important cases, who understands that law and is dedicated to those principles of protecting the community. And I, as your district attorney, I'll continue to do that. If you look at nationwide, over the last couple of years, the violent crime rate has declined, except in Colorado. In Colorado, over the last 3 years, it's been on the increase. And we need to do what we can to try and stop that. In Larimer County, we've done a good job keeping it somewhat steady, but we need to keep that on. We need to get that on the decline. And as your district attorney, I'll work to make that happen. Here recently, last year, I was able to bring together investigators and law enforcement officers from the Sheriff's Department, from Loveland Police Department, from Fort Collins Police Services, even Windsor sent officers over. And we formed a criminal impact team, the point of which was to bring all of these very dedicated officers and the intelligence that they had from each of their agencies, bring it together so we could collaborate and communicate and hopefully in a very efficient and effective way solve crimes and violent criminal acts that were negatively impacting our community. So we brought that group together. Dawn Downs out there, she was an incredible motivating force in bringing these people together. And the work that was able to be done when we brought all of these law enforcement agencies together was incredible. You know, one officer would mention something happened and there was a purple car there. And another officer from another city would say, you know, there's these criminals hanging out in this neighborhood. I've seen a car there, a purple car there lately. And they would start sharing information, and pretty soon a connection would be made, and an investigation would go forward. It was inspiring enough that we had people coming to join us from the Colorado Bureau of Investigations, people coming from Colorado Parole, deputies and officers coming from Weld County to participate in this group to help share information to solve violent crimes in their jurisdiction. And one of the first things they focused on was a group of individuals here in our jurisdiction that were involved in stealing a large number of weapons and distributing them in the criminal element of our community. We were seeing robberies, shootings, menacings, and an alarming number of juveniles ending up in possession of stolen weapons. So the criminal impact team focused on that. And in a short time, they were able to effectively and efficiently identify the people committing those crimes and build and put together prosecutable strong cases. And we were able to take those people off the street, reducing those violent crimes and reducing the number of guns that were in the hands of juveniles. A direct impact by bringing those people together. And I'm committed to continuing to do that, to bring people together, to increase our collaboration and our communication and information sharing to protect this community. You know, and I'm committed as well to increasing our community outreach, to try and sit down and meet with the various communities that make up this jurisdiction, to talk to them about issues they find to be important, to listen to them and to explain to them what we do, hopefully to rebuild some of that trust in our criminal justice system. And I want to increase our social media presence so that we can, again, communicate with the public, let them know what we're doing, let them know what's happening in the criminal justice system, with an eye to helping rebuild some of that trust and faith. And I think we can do that. And we have the Black Lives Matter movement. And I've gone to some of those meetings. I've gone to a Black Lives Matter event. And the message they're sending out, it's difficult to hear. But at this event in downtown Fort Collins, there were 5 individuals that spoke. Some of them were young African Americans. There was a woman that was possibly my age. And they talked about the racism they'd experienced and the social injustice that had affected them directly. And their stories were powerful and impactful. And they need to be heard. We need to be willing to hear those. There needs to be a place for those statements to come out, for that to be expressed. But at the same time, as was pointed out, you can't allow that to be used as an excuse for lawless behavior. And there was a discussion about the kind of ideology that we see in places like Portland, in Seattle, in Chicago, and even in Denver, where our government officials are not taking a stand, where they're not speaking out, where they're allowing people to engage in this destructive behavior, damaging our public property, our private property, endangering the lives of our law enforcement officials. And I submit to you, when my opponent says that he is a progressive and he will be a pragmatic prosecutor, that's code for there are cases I'm not going to file and prosecute. And I think that kind of message, that kind of ideology coming here is a dangerous thing. I can tell you that destruction of property, arson, looting, attacking and trying to injure law enforcement, that's not political speech, that's criminal behavior. And it needs to be treated like criminal behavior. It needs to be investigated by our law enforcement, and if they're able to put a case together, it needs to be prosecuted by the DA's office. And I intend to do that. It's vital to protect our community. And it protects those people who are out there protesting with a legitimate cause. Because when you see those protesters doing that, they are undermining a message that we should hear. You know, the Black Lives Matter, I was asked at a debate, how can you reconcile you're going to a Black Lives Matter movement and you're being at Back the Blue events? And really, supporting Black Lives Matter in that message to reveal, make people aware of, and to stop racial injustice, and at the same time supporting our local law enforcement, those aren't mutually exclusive. They're on the same path because they're both out to protect people and to make our world a better place. And I think we can do that. And I'm incredibly proud of law enforcement in this jurisdiction, because when you hear what they say about this movement, when you hear what they say about becoming more aware of implied bias and how things like that might adversely affect their decision making, they take that on. They're not just willing to do it, they're eager to take that on, to improve what they do, to make sure they're doing a better job for the people in this jurisdiction. And I think we do that by building bridges. We do that by communicating. We don't do that by tearing things apart. My opponent, he likes to make statements about racist policing and join in calls to dismiss criminal cases of which he knows nothing. And I don't think that's the judgment we want in our district attorney's office. I think it is divisive. What I want to do is come into that office, use my experience, use the leadership abilities that I've gained, guide those people, help mentor them to take care of this community, to make sure we're doing what's right for the right reason, that we're achieving just results, that we're making people safe. And I do ask, we just don't have the ability to get out and meet people and communicate with them. So we have to do it through things like social media. So I urge you, visit my Facebook page. Like it. Share it with your friends. Encourage your friends to like it and share it. And I think I'm using the right terminology. I always have to get some advice because I don't do a lot of that. Go to the Instagram page. Do the same thing, because we need to get this word spread out as much as possible. And what I know we're going to need to do is we're going to need to have a social media campaign. We're going to need to reach people in their homes with mailed out literature. Those things are expensive. My opponent is getting his money from other places. I'm looking here in Larimer County, and I'm hoping that you can support me as much as you're able to. There's a limit of $400 per person as a donation to the DA's office, but anything you can do financially will be of great help getting that message out. Thank you again for being here. Thank you for allowing us to come on your property and putting this beautiful spread. Please don't let any of this go to waste. There are envelopes. I'm getting a sign. There's envelopes for people who like to use checks and mail-in donations if you're so willing. The website has a really easy donate button that takes you to Anodot. They take a little bit bigger chunk, but the convenience is worth it. So thank you for allowing me to talk. Thank you for coming here, and I appreciate your support.